the Alligator Head Foundation works for fish-filled seas, healthy reefs, and striving communities. And that's really, these are the main features and the main focuses of our work. We run a marine conservation site, the East Portland Fish Sanctuary. We run a marine lab that does the science, that informs the program how to conserve the site. But we have a number of community outreach, community programs to really bring the knowledge that we learn here into the community, but engage the community and provide alternative livelihoods to move away from fishing. So coral restoration is one of our main focuses and one of our main programs. We do it both in the sea and on land in our wet lab, in the marine lab. And it's really the starting point of everything that we do here. The effort started when we were with our mother organization, which is TBA 21 Academy, which is an art organization that runs an expedition program. We were in the Dominican Republic and were there with a marine scientist, with a coral reef specialist, that on the side ran a project which was a coral restoration program. He had a really small coral nursery that he ran with the community. We had been engaged with Jamaica before, and we were interested in knowing if it was possible to bring this kind of effort here to Jamaica and to Portland. And so, taking all of this into consideration, we started the collaboration with the university, and we started to push for the protection of this site, 6 square kilometers. It's a stretch of 6 kilometers of coastline, and it reaches 1 kilometer into the sea. The state of the reef is concerning. Right? Bleaching at this point is not such a big problem, but overfishing and algae overgrowth is really the problem. So we have 2 little herbivores, which are parrotfish and others, that actually eat the algae off the reef and maintain the coral, and therefore the reef is more or less suffocated by algae as it stands right now. So what we're doing is we grow coral in the water in a little nursery, but we also grow microfracturing, which is really a cutting-edge technology, which we do in the wet lab to facilitate rapid coral growth, which we then outplant onto the reef to kind of give it a chance to come back. I see lots bigger fish. I see species coming back that I had never seen before. But this is just my personal experience that I have, and maybe I'm biased, right? Because I want to see it positive. I want to see change happen because I believe so much in this. But then, luckily enough, we have the marine lab and we have the science to back it up. And it's a fact that we see a 200% increase in biomass, and we see a 16% in species returning to the site, which is massive, right? So we see rays, different rays. Someone has seen a manatee, which is fantastic.
Community involvement is always an ongoing, program. It's always an ongoing effort. Communities are always evolving. Communities are dynamic. We're always getting people in. And so, what the foundation has started with in terms of the nucleus, in terms of getting people involved, based on our size, we are not a large-scale employer directly. And so, where we have the capacity, we have been able to take people from the community to fill those positions. The positions of wardens, for example, we have persons who are from the community there. We have persons who welcomed you when you came in at the gate. Whenever anybody comes to visit, those persons are from the community. So where we have the direct position and the capacity to be able to employ persons within the space who would have been impacted by us turning around the ship to make sure that we have fish-filled seas and abundant reefs, and as a result, make sure that we also have thriving communities with us. We've tried to do that. But in addition to that, what we try to do is provide alternate means of livelihood for persons. So where we can, we make sure we put all the effort in to make sure that we're training them in doing something else other than what they would be doing. Training persons as lifeguards, training them in other areas so that they have a skill that doesn't have a term limit on it. It's a life skill that they have to employ in another area where they're concerned. A lot of other things that we're doing, we've started recently working with the connection, not just in terms of just the sea, but moving out the communities on the land, making sure we make that connection. So we have our Ridge to Reef restaurant, which is making that connection as well, encouraging persons to see the connection between the land and the sea, realizing that whatever we do on land is impacting what's in the sea. That's why we're ending up with overfishing in areas. It's the activity that's on land, it's the demand for it on land that is creating the problem that we have in the oceans. We've started recently a permaculture project where we're employing agricultural techniques as well, and we're going to be using a small space at the foundation to be able to show people. This is meant to be a demonstration garden for the community, and on many levels. We are making it available for the primary school that's directly here, Draper's Primary School, as a teaching platform. So based on what is in the curriculum, kids can have a live classroom in terms of what's going on. If the curriculum asks for them to learn about circumposing, they are able to come into the facility and see that being done live. And so, just getting out of the table and chair situation and moving into somewhere else and seeing it being done actively is part of what it is.
We're in the wet lab, so this is a laboratory to conduct marine experiments. We have running salt water in this room, so instead of having to do all our experiments out at sea, we can bring in the organisms and do the experiments here where we can control the environmental conditions as we need to. One of the driving things behind a wet lab is the ability to grow coral for us. We have an in-water coral nursery, but due to environmental conditions, we can only grow specific types of coral. Only the ones that are fast growing, the slower growing ones don't do well in that environment. So we created an environment here which is more conducive to the growth of those other types of corals. We are able in this environment to control the light, the water temperature, the nutrient additives to give it the most optimal environment for growth. So by stopping the fishermen from going into this selected area, the fish that are there are able to reproduce at a higher rate, and other fish are now coming in. So you'll have predatory fish coming into that area to feed on the now growing population. The efforts the Alligator Head Foundation has made in coral ecosystem restoration directly links to our efforts to combat climate change effects. We outplant resilient corals that have gone through bleaching events and survived. And as such, the corals that we're outplanting are now stronger and more adapted to increased sea temperatures. Additional to that, this room, the wet lab, allows us to grow other species, as I've explained, species that are also temperature resilient. We can make them more temperature resilient by slowly increasing temperature here, and so that they are hardened to higher temperatures, and when in nature can assimilate to that.